My name is James Kaikis. I am one of the co-founders of PreSales Collective, and I am the host for day one. And I cannot be more excited to be here today. It is really a humbling experience from starting PreSales Collective, which I'll talk about momentarily in April 2020, to here we are at our second executive summit. Last year, we had 550 leaders joining us over a 2-day event. And this year, we have 3 full days of content. There is a lot of content, a lot of amazing speakers, and some really, really actionable takeaways that we want to put out into the community. And so I want to just recognize some familiar faces around the community as we get started. Really, the value of community is driven by the community itself. We at PreSales Collective really want to pride ourselves in being a platform to highlight the amazing work that was being done by pre-sales professionals all over the globe. And this crew right here has really been instrumental in this past year. So Nazarani, our president of the PreSales Leadership Collective Council, Tristan Tao, Greg Holmes, Patty Hager, and Chris Brown on our panel. You'll hear from them over the next 3 days. Peter Polizzi, Marjorie Abdel-Krim, our advisors, and then myself, Yuji Higashi, and Kevin Mefford, our team at PreSales Collective. I also want to highlight some amazing people as well that have been doing some really great actionable feedback, again, around the community. Cindy Goodwin-Sack, Jeff Margulies, and David Malouf are our advisors with PreSales Collective. Naz, as I mentioned, Gokul and Brian have done a ton of amazing things in this community, right? The Demo Days Project, the enablement programs that over 3,000 people have taken, and your Slack experience. Big shout out to Brian for that. So today, how do we make the most of this event? That is always the most important aspect of any conference. And so first, as I've continued to post in the chat, please join our Slack community. Events Executive Summit 2021 is the channel. We will have all conversations going in there. No Zoom chat. You can use Zoom Q&A if you like. Be present in the sessions. I know 3 days of content is a lot. Take notes, engage in Slack conversations, ask questions. We got some breaks built in to limit distractions, and share your learnings. It's the biggest thing. Patrick Basang just wrote a book on the social sales engineer. Post on social media what worked, what resonated with you, what's made an impact. Share, and let's continue the momentum that we have in pre-sales. And most importantly, have fun. You are investing in your personal and professional growth by being here at this event. And so just briefly, why did PreSales Collective exist? And I know it's a bit of a dramatic slide title, The Forgotten Function, but we have so many resources and organizations for our friends in sales and marketing and ops, but nothing for pre-sales. And as we talk about the year of the pre-sales professional, PreSales Collective was born in 2020, April 2020, and we have done a lot since we've started, but there's still more work to do. Number of events, 15,000 plus members across the globe, chapters, job posts, podcasts. It's really been amazing to see this happen. And I'll talk about that momentarily, but there's this momentum brewing. And what we started in April 2020 has turned into something that I don't think we ever expected. We ever really expected. And really with PreSales Collective, we are on a mission to elevate the role of pre-sales in organizations worldwide. We continue to aim pre-sales professionals with resources, knowledge, network, and mentorship to develop long and impactful careers. I'm biased, but I think this is the best job that no one's ever heard of. I think it's a great career path. It shouldn't be looked at as a stepping stone. And for us, we want to continue to create a two-way community where people who have passion about pre-sales are supported. Sometimes in our organizations, we are supported. We have the resources, but sometimes we don't. And that's where the PreSales Collective comes into play. Now, we've had some questions on, well, this is PreSales Collective, but it's also the Leadership Collective. What is that? PreSales Leadership Collective is a private membership community for those who want an elevated experience. And so tomorrow, day 2, will be private to our Leadership Collective, but we want to continue to connect leaders in an exclusive network. We feel like leaders need sometimes a space that's private and to themselves. And that's what we've created there. Additional programming, more networking sessions, support system, and really focusing on brand and elevating the role of pre-sales, which we're going to talk about here momentarily and continue to talk about over the 3 days of this event. And so this session, how 2021 started. I received a little bit of flack for this. They said, James, every year is the year of the pre-sales professional, but I can't agree. I can't agree. I think 2021 was the start of something special, momentum, building our profession, which I'm going to talk about momentarily. But I put out this post in January 2021, the year of the pre-sales professional. And I feel like there's been so much that has happened since this has come out. And really, what is this all about? What is PreSales Collective about? The resources that you're seeing, things, the products that are being built. We are all together creating a pre-sales ecosystem. As we talked about in the forgotten function, that is just something that hasn't existed for our profession. And this profession has been around for quite some time. And for this role to get its strategic seat at the executive table, to continue to have resources and network to support, we have to create this ecosystem. And this ecosystem doesn't just happen with PreSales Collective or the Leadership Collective. It happens with all of you. It happens with other groups, other podcasts, things that are being put out to the community. And I think when we talk about 2021 as the year of the pre-sales professional, there has been a massive amount of investment and development in the space. And we talk about an investment, $300 million plus of venture capital has been put in the space. And I don't know about you, but the number of products that continue to be built for pre-sales professionals are increasing month over month. Product-led growth, demos, proof of concepts, justification, qualification of pre-sales. I mean, the number of trainers and educators who've entered the space is growing as well. And we all know the supply and demand issue with roles. LinkedIn said yesterday that there were 72,000 open roles in the last 30 days. Even with PreSales Collective, we put out a state of diversity in pre-sales report. Let's talk about diversity. Let's talk about the movement that needs to happen in our profession. And also the birth of PreSales Academy, which Yuji will talk about in closing of day one today. But none of this can happen without some amazing sponsors, partners for this event. And so I just want to highlight a couple of companies that have really made an impact on our pre-sales community, on the PreSales Collective, and really allowed this community and this community to be what it is. And so Reprise, who's very involved and engaged, has continued to create things like immersive lightweight demos and product tours and their product-led growth and some of the product-led growth in the full cycle. It's really quite amazing to see the development of even Reprise and what they've done as an organization and their engagement and involvement in the community. Gong, how many people have seen and experienced Gong over the past 12 months? What they thought was just a sales tool has really turned into a pre-sales tool as well. And pre-sales professionals are getting a ton of actionable takeaways from the product and really developing in our profession. What they thought was, again, a persona that may or may not use the product is really coming to life. And it's amazing to see the Gong team and have their involvement in our leadership collective as well. And Consensus. Consensus has really done a lot when it comes to demo automation. And we'll talk about some of the things that they've done with digital acceleration, but really scaling pre-sales, not just live demo, but a better experience. And we're going to talk about this in the rest of this session in the beginning of Keynote 1. But it's amazing to see what Consensus has done in delivering scalable pre-sales organizations by using video and demo automation. And DemoStack. DemoStack has been another company who's come onto the scene recently and really made a big splash when it comes to demo environments and tailoring the demo stories at scale. I mean, I've got to know the team here at DemoStack and really excited about their product and what they're being able to do. Again, we talk about resources and scale and efficiency. These are what these products are helping do. And lastly, Proverity. Proverity is newer on the scene as well, but really a great product when it comes to proof of concepts. How many times do we have proof of concepts and proof of values we're doing within our organization, and we have no real way to manage that or manage and maximize our technical win? So products are being built for our profession, for our use case. It's really unbelievable. And it's so amazing to see all of this that's happened in the last 12 months. I mean, we've seen more innovation in the last 12 months than we have in maybe a decade prior. And why is it so exciting? Well, it's just a really exciting time to be in pre-sales. It really is. This is actually one of my favorite graphics of raving fans. And again, the momentum that we've had together and the energy and effort that we're all putting into this profession to get that elevated seat at the table is just amazing. And that's really what this 3-day event is all about. These are the things you're going to hear, professionals you are going to hear from, some of the best pre-sales professionals from the best companies in the world will be here over the next 3 days talking about learnings. And what's so amazing to me is that we're not even in the same organizations. Some of us, we compete against each other, but we're all in the same boat when it comes to elevating and bettering this profession. And that's really what PreSales Collective is here to do in the Leadership Collective. And this is a graphic that we've put out a couple times. And I just think it really makes sense to what's happening is that pre-sales is at the center of influence. And we're going to talk about this in our keynote session momentarily. But all of these touch points, it's great, but we're not always held accountable. We're not always responsible. We're not always compensated on these items. And so how do we make sure that pre-sales has that elevated seat at the table, that has the justification, has the ecosystem to support? And that's what PreSales Collective is all about. And this is just a personal philosophy about the next couple of days. Okay, the next couple of days are about engaging, they're about learning, they're investing in your personal and professional selves. For me, I have a fundamental philosophy. And this is one of the genesis of PreSales Collective, is that when you get out of your four walls is when growth happens and innovation happens. And I have this concept of problem solving plus outside perspective is what equals innovation. And so you're going to learn things from people this week. Some of them you're going to be like, wow, I really need to do that. Some of those things are actually going to be validation that what you're doing is right. And so many of us are solving the same problems. We'll get together and just innovate together as a profession. We'll take it back to our companies and innovate as well. And so as we get started on our first session, I want to highlight Andrea because this was probably for me one of the most rewarding quotes that I've experienced is during our leadership symposium in June, Andrea was at the 2-day event. And she said that the symposium was one of the best usage of her time in her entire career. And that to me is just a validation of all the energy and the effort and the work that you are all putting into this profession. And really, again, PreSales Collective has just become a platform to highlight the amazing work that amazing professionals are doing. And again, it's a global community. I mean, we have people from all over the world on today's session. And so with that, I want to just welcome you and thank you for being here. I know you have a lot of things that you could be doing right now, but you're going to be here spending time with us over the next 3 days. Actionable learnings, being involved, engaged in the chat, in the Slack, and let's have a great time. So with that, I would love to introduce our first session of PreSales Innovation, the monumental shift in our profession. Hey, Al, are you there?
Hi, I'm here.
Hey, Al, what's going on?
Not much. I am so excited for this conference.
I know.
Should I introduce myself? Is that how I should start?
Absolutely. You should introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alberetta. I am the head of services and solutions at Reprise, and I'm so excited to learn from our panelists today. Channing, I see that you are off video first. Will you please introduce yourself?
Sure, happy to. Hey, everyone. Channing Ferrer. I'm Vice President of Sales Strategy and Operations at HubSpot. And really briefly, I guess what I do and maybe what I can bring here is I run a mix of teams. I run our ops and strategy team, but I also run what we call sales acceleration, which is inclusive of pre-sales. And we try to kind of blend the thinking of how do we create automation with our pre-sales function. That's a bit of my team. So we'll talk a little bit about hopefully some innovative different ideas that we've been able to leverage at HubSpot and see if you can take anything away. I'd also love to learn from people on their reactions and ideas as well.
Amazing. Hi, Shannon.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm Shannon Stark. I'm a managing director of platform solutions at Google. And I'm here to talk about, among other things, how the special sauce of solutions of pre-sales work is the reason why we're able to navigate a particularly bumpy transition in my industry. So I'm super excited to be here.
I am so glad you are here. Let's get started on the questions. It seems like Doug will be joining us shortly, potentially.
Yeah. Al looks like Doug just joined us, so we're going to get him promoted up. But while he does that, let me actually run through a couple of slides first, and then we'll have Doug introduce himself.
Sounds great.
So We talk about innovation and monumental shift in our profession. Again, today's session is sponsored by Reprise. As mentioned previously, Reprise is doing some really cool stuff, especially around product-led growth in the full life cycle. Their team has been really engaged in our community, and it's been amazing to see. And I'm actually proud to announce that they're releasing their freemium product, getreprise.com/starter today with the Executive Summit. Now, as we talk about pre-sales as a career, right? We talked about the ecosystem and everything that's been around. I was going through some notes in PreSales Collective, and if you look at all the titles, right? Pre-sales engineer, systems engineer, sales engineer, solutions engineer, solution consultant, right? I can go through this list. There are so many of them, and even the debate between solution and solutions, right? And if you think about the ecosystem that needs to exist and the progress that needs to happen, we're from the start not aligned as a profession, right? We're not aligned as a community. All these things mean different things to different people. But what has been so interesting is that pre-sales is not new. Pre-sales has been around for decades. And I actually spent some time this week on the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. And if you look at the information and watch the videos on what pre-sales or sales engineering is as a career, even the Bureau has some outdated information that was maybe accurate about 5 or 10 years ago. And even if you look at the compensation and the median pay on here, most of us would say, this doesn't look right. And so again, when it comes to the shift, this is how things have been for quite some time. But why? Why is that happening? And what shift is actually happening, James? The shift that's happening is that this role is dramatically changing. We are going from what happens in a lot of organizations of sales support, demo jockeys, demo dollies, whatever demo example you want to use, a reactive role, an order taker. And we are moving to a co-pilot, an enabler, someone who's proactive and a real strategic asset in the sales cycle. And you're probably wondering why. Why is all of this happening? Well, there's a shift, again, happening that's affecting us as a profession. And Sean Whiteley joined our leadership symposium in the summer, and he talked about the shift in consumer behaviors and said that Uber and Amazon have changed the concept of speed and personalization for all of us. Now, I've had so many debates on, does product-led growth work in the enterprise? This doesn't apply to the enterprise. Well, at the end of the day, the people that are buying your software in enterprise or mid-market or SMB are the same people who use Uber, they use Amazon, they use Spotify, they use Netflix. And so these behaviors that are happening in B2C are bleeding into B2B. And that is actually having a massive impact on us as a profession. And so this report was done by McKinsey in 2019. 2019, you're already seeing the shift to self-service matters in B2B. This doesn't even take into consideration the pandemic, right? So this buying is changing, selling is changing. And Channing here, who's joined us, actually has an article today on the PreSales Collective blog about creating a pre-sales organization to support the product-led growth motion. I'm a Pink Floyd fan, so I hope you like the graphic here. But an organizational structure that talks about how we support product-led growth and the evolution in buying and selling. And so just briefly, if you looked at LinkedIn's State of Sales report from about 4 or 5 months ago, there's some pretty unbelievable statistics in this. And the one that really made the most impact on me is that 65% of sellers believe that they're always putting the buyer first, but the buyer only agrees with that 23% of the time. I've had a lot of people say, James, I don't think we should talk about our sales counterparts negatively. And I don't think that we're talking about them negatively, but we're looking at the data and acknowledging what has happened is that unfortunately, poor sales techniques of the past 10 to 15 years are actually hurting us today in this new culture and this new environment. And if you look at why somebody won't buy, 48% of people won't buy because of misleading information. And if you look at the top 6 deal killers, misleading information, not understanding my company, not understanding the products and services, not understanding the competitors' products and services. This is what people want to buy from. This is what's happening. In reality, the most important aspect of this, if you look at what the top 5 factors are, trust. What do we talk about with the pre-sales engineer, sales engineer? Trust. We talk about that as the key component of what this role is. And so only 40% of buyers say that their salespeople are trustworthy. Yet 89% of those same people describe that what they need out of the salesperson is the trusted advisor. So why are we seeing this momentum? Not just an ecosystem forming, but really buying and selling are changing. And so really this is where we insert the pre-sales professional today.